right. So should we move on to our guest speaker for
Why
tonight?
don't you introduce our guest speaker for tonight,
Okay.
Barb, since you
Well,
go with him.
all right. I didn't go to school with them. We went to the same school, like Alexis and I went to the same school too, but we weren't in the same class.
You should have been. It was because you cheated.
So Richard THEISEN is our guest speaker tonight, and he is a Grammy winner for his song that he co-wrote with Mark Beno that was called Rock and Roll Me Again, and it went onto the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, and it paid him a bunch of money for many years. And also they loved him around the world for it. In fact, when he was in Japan with Custom Made, people recognized Richard for the song Rock and Roll Me Again. So after winning that Grammy, he played for a number of years with Custom Made, and they traveled all over the world, and they were a pretty famous group. And then after that, Richard did some time at Alley Cats and other venues that were the dueling piano venues that were so popular through the 90s and 2000s. And then Richard, then I think his first love in music is a new age. And so he turned again to writing and producing his own music. And he's produced a number of albums in the new age jazz genre and has become real popular in that genre. And within the past couple of years has picked up a record label and is recently released an album entitled Oceanova. Am I correct in that? Is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've actually done 3 albums in 2 years, which is a lot for me.
While we were all playing live on Zoom during the COVID, Richard was sequestered in his studio writing music and producing albums. So he lives down in Fairfield, so quite a ways away from Dallas. And I guess we'll learn more about Richard as he talks to us about his famous life. Here we are, Mr. Richard THEISEN.
Thank you, Bobby. Harry asked if Rock and Roll Me Again was on YouTube. It is. I don't know how many years it's been up there, but you can find it. Just type in Rock and Roll Me Again on Beverly Hills Cop.
So while we're talking about that, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came about to write with Mark Beno, because I think that's an interesting story of how y'all were put together, and then how that got into the Beverly Hills Cop movie trailer and onto the album.
Gordon Perry over at Goodnight Audio told me he wanted me to go meet Mark and see if we hit it off and write some songs together. And the first night Ben and I jammed, we wrote Rock and Roll Me Again. It was the first song we'd written. And it just clicked. And I guess we wrote together for about 6 months and then just kind of parted ways. But
that's not the end of the story, though.
Oh, I know. Do you remember Gordo, the engineer?
Oh, yes.
Tommy Gondoff, yeah. I talked to him recently. And kind of the way it transpired was Beno and I went in after Gordon was at a wedding, and we tracked Rock and Roll Me Again, and we could tell it was magical. And so Gordon was friends with Keith Olsen in LA, and Gordon knows Stevie Nicks and all those people. Stevie recorded the song and didn't come across too good. Joan Jett recorded the song and changed a bunch of the lyrics. Nobody liked it. And then the system out of New York cut it and did a great job. Kathy Nelson, the music supervisor for MCA, was a fan of the song And I went out to LA and met her, real great gal. I tell you, the thing to do is get in with a music supervisor. They got so much power. And that's basically it on that song. And then this year, January of this year, I signed with this company called Wayfarer Records. They're out of Olympia, Washington, and Chicago, and all the artists are spread out. They're over in France and New York and Connecticut and Florida. And they're all ambient musicians, which I didn't really know that much about ambient music, but it's pretty cool. And, you know, it's not your typical just new age music. It's more cinematic and jazz. So I'm having a lot of fun with these guys.
So I want to back up a minute
Any
and
questions?
yeah, I want to back up a minute and mention the writer credits for Rock and Roll Me Again. You ended up having a third writer on the credits, right?
No, it was just Mark and I.
Oh, okay. So I thought Gordon.
Gordon took a quarter of the publishing.
Okay, took a quarter of the publishing.
Yeah,
All right, that makes
which is
sense.
unusual.
So, when did you join Bug Music? Let's talk a little bit about Bug
Benno got
Music.
me in with those guys. I was pretty much a novice. I had never had any thing that successful. So Benno introduced me to Bug Music in LA. And these guys have a catalog that's, you know, La Bamba. Just, you wouldn't believe their catalog. And they took 10% and made sure I got every nickel from it they could worldwide.
Yeah, they were administrators.
You knew Fred McGoey, right?
Uh-huh.
You know
Hirschman.
Fred? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I had met Fred and his brother, but I knew Dave. I know Dave Hirschman now better, but
Yeah, I
they're
went
not.
out there, when Beverly Hills Cop was hot, Fred had me come to LA and gave me a list of people just to go around shaking their hands doing the Hollywood thing, which was pretty cool. And met Irving Azoff and a bunch of people I didn't know. It was a fun time in my life for sure.
Was it around that time that you got to go and see David? Was it David Bowie record at?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Was it David Bowie that was recording in Las Colinas? Who was it that you got to go out and be a part of the recording in Las Colinas? Is it David Bowie or it's Steve? I know Stevie Ray Vaughan was part of
Stevie,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stevie at the Grammys, I was standing there with Benno, Stevie, and Jimmy, and what's her name? Marie Osmond walks up, and she wanted to meet Stevie, and it was like all I saw was teeth.
So, how has were you able to do anything more with Bug Music? I mean, did you continue to place your songs?
They were shopping Benno's and my stuff. And several people recorded some stuff. What was the guy's name? BJ Thomas recorded the song Benno and I wrote called I'd Rather Be Lonely. And one day I was at my apartment with my first wife, and she goes, some guy named Danny Hutton called. He had an LA number, so he wanted you to call him. And I called him, and he was cutting I'd Rather Be Lonely at Topanga Canyon Studios, Tom Petty's studio, and it was the first song that was recorded there. I've never heard it, but he wanted to know the chord changes to the chorus. I was a little nervous talking to him because we grew up on Three Dog Night. You guys remember Danny Hutton?
Wouldn't that be neat to have all those demos of people that have recorded your songs
Oh,
in
I
different
know,
ways?
I know, yeah. Well,
Yeah. So we did Will Townsley for a songwriter spotlight a few weeks ago, and I met Will through you. Actually, you brought him by the house one night after y'all got through at Alley Cats, I think, or something.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Will a
So
doctor now or something? Is Doctor, I see Dr.
he,
Will Town.
yes, he is. He is, and he's teaching out at the University of Texas in Arlington in the music
Yeah,
department. Yeah. So I
yeah,
didn't
Will,
know that he played saxophone, but yeah, he has a
hey, he was a good
uh,
saxophone.
he has a
He was a
performance
good
degree
musician.
with a saxophone, a performance degree. So
Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah,
But
those guys
yeah,
are still killing it out there in Addison at Eats.
yeah, yeah. He's playing in Fort Worth. He's doing some kind of a Alley Cats thing in Fort Worth, dueling piano thing in Fort Worth, I think on the
Yeah, and
weekends
they
now.
opened one up in Frisco, I think. Kyle Level needs to talk to you guys. He's a really good country songwriter. You know, Will's partner, Kyle.
Who?
His name's Kyle Level. He's the other piano player with Will. That's his
Okay.
partner.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, he's writing some pretty good country stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about your. I was very interested in that. A few years ago, we were talking about frequencies and music and what they do to the body, and how they help meditation and stuff like that. And you had really delved into that, and I think it would be really interesting if you could tell us a little bit about frequencies in music and how if you use them now for that, or I don't know if that's what you're doing right now, or you had done that, or what.
Well, there's a group of people that believe the tuning was adjusted to A440, but it used to be A444. And there was a solfeggio, 6 notes that the Gregorian chants were done in. And they were tuned to A444. And these 6 notes in that chant corresponded to a higher frequency than what we have in our music. It kind of, when they changed it, it took away the magic of frequencies. I don't know if you believe this stuff or not, and I had a little trouble at first, but I started tuning my synthesizer to A444 and playing in C, and the middle C is 528 hertz, and it supposedly raises the vibration of your heart. And Gina, my wife, can tell you that she can tell when it's in that key, when it's in that frequency. And on YouTube, I've got like 600,000 views on this thing that I did called Hymn to St. John the Baptist. And I did it back in 2014 and took the Gregorian chant of Hymn to St. John and actually sang it in A444 and tried to do the original like the Gregorian monks did. And it's been pretty good little viral video for me on YouTube.
What do you
If you want
think
to check
well,
it
how
out.
do you think back then when they had the Gregorian chant in the Middle Ages, how did they tune themselves when they were just singing a cappella? What were they tuning themselves to?
Gosh, I don't know what instruments they had to act as a tuning pitch. It might be a bowl or something, ancient tunings. I don't know. I wasn't back there.
Yeah, that's interesting, to figure out
But
how.
I guess the monks could actually feel the difference when they sang the solfeggio scale.
Mhm,
It was
mhm.
more spiritual to them. But my mother-in-law turned me on to this book, Biological Codes of something, and it talked about the different tunings. That's what kind of got me interested in it. I started researching it. It's pretty fascinating.
Hmm.
But if you get a chance, go on YouTube and look it up. It's called Hymn to St. John.
I've seen, I did a while back, you know, when you were telling me about it. Very interesting, and I really liked it. It was,
Can I
Yeah,
ask a
seemed to be
question?
very calming and just meditative, or, you know, I liked it a
Right.
lot. Did somebody else have a
And-
question?
Yeah, I had a question. Is any kind of music these days being made with alternate, different tunings, other than 440?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric, say that one more time.
Is there music being published, popular music that's being done at tunings other than 440?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. Possibly. You know, I'm not the only one that has kind of discovered this. And I'm not swearing by it. It made a lot of sense to me because Mozart used to tune his piano to A432. And I've experimented taking the piano sample that I've got down to A432, and it just feels so warm. I mean, I can feel the vibrations from it. In fact, if you get a synthesizer or your MIDI keyboard, try taking it down to A432.
How do you do that? I mean,
Usually in the settings for a synthesizer, it has the master tuning, and you just tune it down to A432. And then every sound that you play is going to be in A432. Or if you want to get those solfeggio frequencies, tune it up to A444, because you can't find 528 hertz in A440.
okay,
You know,
interesting.
at least I'm talking to musicians, y'all know it. I've tried to explain this to other people, like, what?
Well, the reason I asked because I recently bought a guitar tuner from D'Addario,
Right?
and it has a selection for A440, A41, 442, 40. I'm not sure how high it goes, or maybe I don't know if it goes down. But I wondered what was the purpose in having those choices of tuning?
Now you know.
Well, yeah, but as
Well,
anybody uses it,
the solfeggio frequencies that these Gregorian monks sang to, you can't get that frequency on a keyboard. If you're tuning to A440, you have to tune your keyboard all the way over to A444, and then those frequencies lock in. And if you want to do some research on it, there's all sorts of stuff on the net about the different tunings like that. 528 hertz, a lot of people are experimenting with that.
Michael, if besides those changes, if you're in a studio and somebody played out of tune, you know, you need the option to tune up to what they did. But also symphonic players don't, you know, 440 is not the rule, depending on what you're playing. When you're doing big orchestra sessions or tuning a piano, there's all kinds of variations and things that you do, and that's why all those things are available. So
Exactly. Well, like I said, Mozart 432, and a lot of composers back then started doing that. I don't know how they tuned their piano to A432, but they probably had some pitchfork. I don't know.
and the difference if you're tuning a 9-foot piano versus a 6-foot piano,
Right.
it's a huge difference
Yeah, I bet.
in the temper tuning. The well-tempered clavier Bach wrote, a huge difference in what the frequencies that you tune. You don't ever tune perfectly or it won't be in tune. Just like your G is always sharp if you tune it right on a guitar. So, I mean, depending on the size of the piano, and again, orchestra, if you ever played in an orchestra, there's all these things. Usually it's like 442 that they'll tune to a lot of times to accommodate certain string instruments, this and that. But anyhow, my wife
You know
knows
what? I lost
the player.
my Zoom. Well,
We can still see you if you can't see
oh,
yourself.
there it is. just disappeared.
Yeah, you can click on another window and it'll hide your Zoom window.
But you know, all this tuning stuff, I think it's kind of subjective, but they did studies on it. And you know, have you ever seen those, not dust, but metal particles that when they play a frequency, I forgot what it's called, but when they tuned the synthesizer to A444 and ran it next to this plate of metal shavings, it made these geometric patterns. So weird. So there might be something to it.
Yeah, there's an episode of Ancient Aliens where they talk about the alien frequency, and they talk about how the 110 hertz was somehow meditative or something. I don't know, but and then
It kind of makes sense that certain frequencies would affect the chakras and cause them to vibrate.
yeah.
You know, it just intuitively, I can't explain it, but intuitively, this feels like probably the case. David, have you ever heard of David Icke, that British guy,
No.
the blonde guy? Yeah, he's got a TV show, supernatural TV show over in Britain, and he referenced my song, Hymn to St. John, and I got a lot of people that came over from watching that video.
Oh yeah.
David Icke, yeah.
Well, there's no doubt that music vibrations affect our bodies in a lot of different ways. We all know that. That's why we love music. So talk to us a little bit about how you, okay, so you were telling me a little bit about what happened in this community of New Age community, and that you kind of had won some awards or whatever, and that's how
Well,
this
I
label
started
got
doing this
interested
New
in
Age
you.
stuff. I started doing this New Age stuff about 3-4 years ago. I just picked a niche, you know. It's a lot easier if you find a niche that you're good at. And Alice Cooper said, man, you make your own playing field instead of getting over into the masses. But it was right up my alley because your husband, Don, taught me all the MIDI tricks. And my studio now, I've got so many samples, you wouldn't believe it. And I fell into New Age music pretty easy because it's pretty cinematic sounding stuff. I wish I could play something for you.
Well, you can. Would you like to play one of your songs for us?
I wrote this today. It's on my sampler. Oh, play it on.
Okay, so do you have the audio on your computer?
I don't know. Hold on. Just tell me if you can.
Okay, if you're playing it out of your keyboard, Richard, we won't be able to hear it unless you click on original music, original sound.
Hold on a second. Click on what?
You have to, there's a original sound button that you have to click on. You have to have an original sound on to be able to hear anything in the background.
He's got to enable that button first.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a setup.
Yeah.
Where's that button?
Okay, you want to walk him through it?
Are you on a PC or a Mac?
PC.
Okay. Down the lower left-hand corner where it says mute, it's got a little microphone.
Right.
Click on the up arrow next to that microphone and click audio settings.
Okay.
Now, kind of on the right side, about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see audio profile.
Okay.
Now, what you want to do is click the third bubble down that says original sound for musicians.
Okay.
And when you do that, make sure echo cancellation is also checked just below it.
It is.
Okay. Now you can close that window. And now you should have a little button in the upper left-hand recorder, upper left-hand corner says original sounds for musicians off. Upper left-hand corner.
Of your screen, of the Zoom screen where you see our
Yeah, I'm
pictures and
looking at it.
everything, upper left-hand corner.
It says, no, it just says this meeting is recorded.
You-
Okay, something didn't take.
Well, okay, look in the upper right-hand corner then. Do you see anything that says original sound for musicians in the upper right-hand corner?
Nope.
All the way up where it says recording, next to the recording thing?
This meeting is being recorded. I see that.
Okay,
Look behind that thing that says this meeting is being recorded. There's probably a green thing there, and you see original.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
see it.
that is. Okay.
See if you can click on that. That's the button you need to click.
Says, and this is just the meeting ID.
Okay, go back to that audio settings.
Okay, hold on.
because hey, guys, my original sound for musicians on the screen has moved with the Zoom workplace. It's on the opposite side now. Instead of
Oh,
on the
wow.
left-hand side, it's on the right-hand side.
Okay.
That's why I asked him to
Well,
look
we
on the
look
right-hand
both
side.
left and right. Go
I'm
back
sorry, I
to
don't
that.
know.
Go back to that audio set. Does it still have original sound for musicians checked in your audio profile?
Hold on a second.
That's the one next
Original
to.
sound for musicians is clicked and echo cancellation is on.
Okay.
Should be good.
There should be a button now that says right next to recording or somewhere on that top, it should say original sound for musicians : off, and you need to click that and make sure it says on.
You
Anything?
know what, Harry, I don't see that.
Yeah,
If
and I don't see
That's-
it on my screen, and I have the original sound on everything. It's not on my
If you're seeing that thing that says the meeting's being recorded, you should see on the right a little button that says OK. If you hit that little bar will disappear, and you should be able to see the.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Oh, original sound for musicians. It
Yeah.
says off.
so
Hit it.
click it and make sure it says on.
It says on, okay. I got it.
All right.
Okay, now we should be able to hear your keyboard.
Got all this buildup. I hope it doesn't suck. This is a rough. Could y'all hear that?
Yeah, very nice.
Thanks.
So do you have a name for it yet?
The Sacred Path of the Warrior. It was this book I read.
So I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. We're coming to a time that we have been allotted, but I have one more question for you now.
I have a question too, if I can as well.
Oh, okay, sure.
No, go
Let me
ahead.
ask my question first. Okay, so Richard, having now that you're with a label, what kind of support does your label give you?
Oh man, great. These guys like to collaborate, and they all push my stuff, and I help push their stuff. So it's a teamwork. All our social media contacts, when one of the guys on Wayfarer Records puts out something, I help promote that, and vice versa, which is it's kind of cool. You know, musicians actually working together
Yeah.
and
So
putting their egos.
so you're giving you social media support.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a question, Wayne?
Yeah. Richard, I listened to some of your music online, and it's beautiful.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to ask you what kind of DAW do you use, and for your virtual instruments, what do you use to get those beautiful sounds?
Mainly I use Samplitude for the DAW. Pro X, I've used it for years. Perry Lancaster turned me on to it. Remember him? Have you talked to
Of
Perry?
course.
Bobby?
Of course. I haven't talked to him in a while though.
And
I kind of got mad at him about Don, So
yeah. As far as my sounds, 90% of the stuff I use is from Omnisphere by Spectrasonics. It's a universe in itself with the sounds. And I'm a subscriber to East West Composer Cloud. Pay them $20 a month, got their whole library, which is great. But it's mainly, I mean, you guys are songwriters. You know, it's like mainly you guys do pop and country, right?
Everything.
Everything, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, then check out East West, the Composer Cloud. I'm a believer in that company, sure.
I have a question, Barbie.
yes, go ahead.
Well, I'm all about the frequencies. I sleep to frequencies. I have frequency channels on my Spotify. I use essential oils, which have frequencies. We are frequencies. We all vibrate at a frequency. So I get that stuff. But when I have listened to some of your stuff, and you're amazing. You know, I love all of that kind of thing. I love that you have made it into a marketable thing instead of just the same sound all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with like the kind of floaty stuff that doesn't change keys. I like melodies, you know.
Yeah. They all serve a different purpose, obviously. That one is for healing or something or whatever, but
Right.
music is healing. And so I was wondering if you talked about tuning to a frequency. Do you put what frequency you're using anywhere on your song titles? I never thought to look for that.
Yeah, a lot of my YouTube stuff, I did it to like different frequencies that supposedly correspond to different parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a piece. I tuned the synthesizer on my keyboard to A444, and then whatever key corresponds to that frequency, I'd write a song in that key. And that was the main basis of the song. Now, I probably should have just played one monotone note, you know, for true healing. But writing a song in that key, I feel like I am writing it in that frequency.
Yeah. I can see that. That'd be great. Yeah, I'll go back and look at those and see what you got out there.
Right. But definitely listen to Hymn to St. John. I don't know if you heard that or not.
No, I haven't, but I think it's kind of interesting that people might be listening to that and having some kind of healing experience and not even know specifically that that's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really funny to read the comments on Hymn to St. John. Uh, half the people love it, and half the people are, hogwash. I've got pretty thick skin reading all those comments.
Oh, okay. Enjoy it.
So Richard, Alexis is our classmate from Samuel.
Who is
Alexis, you're talking to another Samuel classmate.
Oh, wow.
The Samuel Spartans?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right, the Samuel Spartans.
You know,
Man,
I seen-
my cousin went to Samuel and somebody they were having a towel fight and somebody got their eye popped out
I wouldn't doubt it.
with a rat
That sounds
tail.
like the Grove.
We were
Yeah, so it was Grove
yeah,
rat.
Yeah, we got 3 Grove rats on the screen out here.
That's pretty. There
I-
might be some kind of frequency problem right now. You know what I'm saying?
Alexis, I've seen your name on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
friends with you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that you went.
Pretty
to Grove.
recent friends. So I think when I heard you were going to be on a while back, I
Yeah,
feel like I know you from somewhere, but I don't know.
we're from the
A lot of
Grove.
water.
So do you do the other spectrosonic stuff? Do you do stylus or trillion or that stuff?
Other styles of music.
Other spectrosonics programs, stylus and trillion.
Oh, Spectrasonics. I used to have a version of Stylus, but I didn't purchase it, so I don't use it. I was just checking it out. Stylus is great, and
I use that all the time.
I'm thinking about buying Keyscape. They got all those pianos, the Rhodes, and the great brands.
I just bought Superior Drummer and it came with a 260 gig library.
Yeah,
Oh,
all that stuff.
my.
It's amazing all the new technology that.
And I remember I got East West Platinum Orchestra and it was 28 DVDs full and it took 2 days to load.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
Orchestra
I've got a
sounds.
pretty beefy computer. My son put together my computer. I got 64 gig of RAM, and on this East-West Orchestra, I mean, it'll take 4 minutes for some of them to load. Like
Yeah.
the cellos on that last piece, that cello sound is 4 gigs in itself, and then I doubled it with Omnisphere, this Adagio Espressivo, which is pretty big too. So in order to do all this, you got to have a pretty beefy computer.
I just bought a Mac Pro with an M2 and it
Cool.
goes fast, man.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Bobby's always been a Mac girl. And I used to do the Mac at Bobby's studio, and it was faster, you know.
Well, the M2, and it comes 64 gigs of RAM or megs of RAM stock, and it flies, man. It loads instantly. I recommend it.
Yeah. Cool.
Of course, for $7,000, it should go fast.
So
I'm just so
everybody,
used to the
Richard calls me
PC now.
Bobby from the old days.
From the neighborhood.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some tunes.
Hey, one last thing. A few of us got to see it earlier. Richard, could you show us your Grammy one more time?
Yeah.
I keep it within arm's reach. Ta-da.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait a minute. Let's do it this way.
Huh?
Do it this way. Let's get a good big picture of that Grammy there.
Ta-da.
Hang
I
on.
was thinking about getting a chain and just wearing it around my neck.
Wait a minute. There you go.
No, one more time. Down a little bit. There you go.
Awesome.
I broke the first one I had.
Oh, no.
I played at this Railhead Club in Dallas with this band after I came back from the Grammys, and I brought it to the club to show everybody. And I'm driving home, and the bell was kind of rattling, so I tried to tighten it up, and it broke off in my hand. They were pretty cool about giving me another one.
Like the Railhead Steakhouse on Greenville?
Huh?
Railhead.
on Greenville?
Yes. Yes.
Somebody used to run that place. Good food.
Bye.
Very
Okay,
good.
guys, well, I'm gonna go inside.
Thank you,
and get something
Richard.
to eat. Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed meeting all you guys.
Bye.
See you later, Bobby.
All
See you on
right.
Facebook.
Thanks, Richard, for coming and talking to us.